This kick can decide it all. The nation holds its breath. Yes,
Welcome back to the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about a player called Deji Sotona. He's a 20-year-old winger / forward, born in Waterford, who grew up in Mullingar, where he joined local side Mullingar Athletic. Also, little fact that's relevant, he was a member as a kid of a running club in Mullingar as well, Mullingar Harriers, and he's known as an extremely fast player, so obviously his running background helped him in that regard. As a runner, a young runner, he picked up several provincial and national sprinting medals, so he could easily have a career in athletics as well. But as a 13-year-old, he joined the Man Utd Academy in 2016, playing at various youth levels, and was highly thought of by Man Utd. Scored some high profile for a youth player, youth level goals. While he was there, he was a starter for different age groups. And while he was at Man Utd, again, his athletics career comes into play. He was recorded as being the fastest player at the club. And that's not just out of the youth players, that's out of everyone at Man Utd, like the first team players. And they but at the time they had, people like Rashford, who's still there, obviously. So, to be the fastest, especially for a forward / winger, it's a real benefit. So obviously that would have added to his career prospects at Man Utd, and all a testament to his Mullingar days and the running club. In 2020, after 4 years at United, he was offered a new 3-year extension to his contract, but bravely turned it down, obviously having faith in his ability, which would warrant better contract terms and first team chances elsewhere. And he left Man Utd in September of 2020 and signed with OGC Nice, who are a top division French team, and they were managed at the time by Patrick Vieira, of course, the very famous Patrick Vieira. And Patrick Vieira promised him first team football, so he was getting better terms. United didn't want to let him go, but he was getting better terms at Nice. But more importantly, he was getting the chance of first team football at a top level team. So twisted his arm, and his agent obviously had been working in the background, so they took I'm sure it was a tough decision, but smart and brave decision. Would have been hard to break through at United, that's for sure, especially as a winger or up front, because Man United got a lot of exciting players in those positions, and they usually go out and buy top players, especially in those positions. So yeah, it was a smart move. When signing for Nice, as I said, the main thing was Patrick Vieira and his promise of first team football. But unfortunately, Patrick Vieira was sacked a few months after he signed in December. So he only signed for them in September, and then in December, Patrick Vieira was sacked. And as can often happen when a new manager comes in, he has different ideas. Maybe he likes other players more than, So anyway, Deji didn't get a look in and was relegated to the reserves at Nice. Then there wasn't much really heard about him until just over a year later, when he made a loan move to Brentford B in January of 2022 on a 6-month loan deal. 6-month loan deal. He didn't make any appearances for Brentford first team, but he did play for the Brentford B team. Returned to Nice in the summer of 22. So, yeah, wasn't a success, you'd say. So, he's had anyway. So then on the 9th of August 22, he signed on loan for Scottish Premiership side Kilmarnock on a season-long loan. Again, obviously, key to his decision making here going to Brentford, Kilmarnock, is to try and get first team football. But he only made 2 appearances, both as a substitute, and he returned to Nice in January, just gone. So he didn't complete the season-long loan. It was cut short, and he went back to Nice in January, just a couple of months ago. But in January, he signed. He had 6 months left on his Nice contract. He signed for Burnley, specifically their academy, on the 30th of January, which I believe, could be wrong now, I think that was the last day of the window, but maybe it was second last day. Is it the 31st? But so he signed for Burnley. Burnley, again, are managed by another famous ex-player, Vincent Kompany, Man City. He's highly thought of as a manager now. He was, after he retired, he went to Belgium. Then he came back to Burnley. He's seen as an up-and-coming manager. Whether or not that'll turn into it, but he's doing well at the moment. Burnley, top of the championship with 13-point lead. So there's a real good chance they'll be back in the Premiership next season. And that in turn could play well for Sotona. It could turn out to be a masterstroke. Now, things haven't gone well for him so far. His decisions, they're brave decisions. They're just like everything. They haven't worked out the way you planned. Sometimes that's the way life is, but they were all smart decisions. He left Man Utd to go to Nice, first team football promise. When he signed, obviously, unfortunately, the manager got sacked. Nobody would have known that. Then he went to Brentford, B, probably thinking, I'll do well here and they'll sign me and I'll be in their first team. Didn't happen. Went to Kilmarnock to get first team football on a season-long loan. Then whether or not, he only had 2 appearances, wasn't working out, obviously, but he probably as well returned to Nice, but he knew, he was going to do something else in January. And Burnley now, if he can, it's March now, again, he's in the academy there, so it's not like he's broken into the first team, but who knows, maybe by the end of the season they might throw him on for a few sub appearances. But more than likely he'll be doing his best to impress the people in the background to make the decisions, and maybe next season he might get a look in the first team squad. And if he does, he'll be at a Premier. All of a sudden, bang, he's back. He's at a Premiership team, and a few injuries or a bit of luck or good performances in the background. Next thing he's on the bench, or he's getting a few minutes here, a few minutes there, and then all of a sudden he's a top-class Premiership player. So you can see they're all smart decisions. He hasn't got the rub of the green on any of these decisions yet, but they're smart, so he himself or people in the background, his family or his management or whoever, they're making smart moves. He could fade away into the distance, but he's not taking it lying down. He's making smart moves, and law of averages, eventually it's going to work out for him. So again, he's not scared to go wherever. France, I could see him going back abroad again if Burnley doesn't work out, but maybe he might get a loan move to the Championship. But, you know, again, he's great prospects, you know, from what would appear to be a faltering career. All of a sudden it could come good, and next thing he's the next big thing, especially on Irish football. So you haven't heard much about him yet. Now, on the international front, we'll fall into it there now. He can represent Ireland, Nigeria as well, and England, because he went there as a 13-year-old. But today he's just represented Ireland at under 15s and under 16s. It would appear, however, his last cap for Ireland was at under 15 level, which was in 2017. He was called up for the under 20s and under 20s fixture. Wasn't really a top drawer fixture in March of last year, 22, but it would seem again that he wasn't released by his club for the fixture. So, you know, again, there's more important things for him to figure out his club thing, and then he can make a decision on his international football. He does have, again, he was born in Ireland. You know, obviously I'm not a 13-year-old, so I imagine as a 13-year-old you're still a kid. You're going to a different country. I imagine you still consider yourself fully Irish, but, you know, maybe 13 you're growing up somewhere else as well. You feel half English, but I don't know. But at the moment, you know, he has all those options. You'd imagine England isn't on the horizon at the moment, but who knows what could happen again next season. It'd be a big season for him. So although to date he hasn't had much opportunities of first team football, it is what he's looking for. It is the next step in his career, and that may change if he can settle in at Burnley, who have a young squad themselves, so they value youth. And the next season either break into the first team or go on loan to a Championship team, perhaps somewhere else, or abroad in a division maybe, I don't know where else. But, you know, again, there's lots of opportunities. He's not scared. He's gone to France, didn't work out for him. He's gone to Scotland, he's gone to England, he's been in Ireland. I know people say, oh, Ireland, Scotland, England. It's not really, it's, you know, natural progression, but, you know, he has branched out to France, and he does have, you know, a Nigerian heritage. So, you know, he's, again, all those days of people just going from Ireland to England, or maybe to Scotland, that's gone, you know. So, you know, he's probably played with players at Man Utd from different backgrounds as well, and, you know, the world's a small place now, so whatever happens, I'm sure, again, it's going to be an interesting career to follow. That's why we're doing the podcast. We could do it on hundreds of players in England, but I like to pick players that have a bit of a exciting choices they've made, and moves to leagues that wouldn't normally have been places Irish people would have gone. But anyway, thanks for listening, and hope you enjoyed the podcast video, and hit a like or subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.